All right, good evening, guys. Ken at Tortoise Capital. This is the speed run of the swing portfolios for June 26, 2021. So we're going to use the 3-day lens and see what we can see. All right, so and we're just going to go through the standard lineup here. Alcoa in great shape. Early days for the recovery to the top of the dragon and top of the RL10. So 41 and 38 are the upsides. This is favorable when we compare that to XLB, the materials. We'll see that's kind of in the same position. And as we noticed earlier this week, that the metals are in front of the broader materials. So you see materials pulled all the way back to the Bollinger Band mean. Alcoa did the same, but is already recovering. If we look at U.S. Steel, that has room to recover as well. And let's see, Cliff Natural Resources, while we're here. That one had less of a pullback, and so to me, Cliff Natural Resources, when you start connecting these lower highs, that's all good. And notice the power of the PSAR. Cliff Natural Resources is in the best shape of those metals. Apple, nice recovery in tech beginning to happen over the last 6 days. Apple, I should say, let's go here to Apple. That was Alcoa. Yeah, the recovery in tech is already well underway. Testing previous swing highs. Microsoft is the other broad tech that we like in this area, and they're even further advanced than Apple, so that's all in good shape. Arc Genomics. The recovery in ARC is well underway, and this one is going up faster than the S&P biotech. So that one has a nice curve as well, but it's not quite as steep and advanced as Arc Genomics. So Arc Genomics has a little bit of an advantage here, and once it can clear this like 9170 and basically leaving the river, that's going to be very, very good for Arc Genomics. Arc Innovation, same pattern, only it's even more accelerated. It's already at the far side of the river. You compare that to the Qs, which is kind of its baseline, and Arc Innovation has more room to play catch up, and it's being bolstered by broad strength in tech already. Compare that to XLK. XLK is better than Arc Innovation. So this one should be bolstered by a rediscovered belief in Arc. It's just in the spring. But certainly there will be people wanting to see that get to 155. So there's room for that to go. Blockchain, not much to write about here, except it is finding some stability and support here around 45. Let's just compare that to the other Bitcoins. The Bitcoin Trust, weaker than blockchain. The large cap crypto blend, much weaker than Bitcoin and blockchain. And then Ethereum, also lagging. But there's a strong band of support in this area, and I think there's more room for that to go up. Notice the oddity of that Z3 envelope. Caterpillar in the industrials, nice recovery, plenty of room to run. You get a chance to buy a great company on sale at 216 with a fair value probably back up here around 240. Cliff, we've seen, great shape among the metals. Coinbase, sold off harshly, but now I think has found its support level in this region here. That's the support level it's going to break out of. Lumber cut. Now the long, strong price action was broken, and now I think we're ready to see that start going like this now. Let's see if it stays in that channel. Okay. That was the break point on the PSAR flip. Yep. So now let's draw that parallel line and see what we get. Let's compare that to wood, the other lumber. That one also broke at about the same time. Fell further than cut. But that feels like it has some legs. Agriculture, DBA. Finding support in here. If you're buying this now, don't let it get below. Oh, I think I'd still keep that here. Yeah. 1765 would be my position to short. Otherwise, I'd just buy it and let it go. Blended commodities in great shape. PSAR holding support all the way up. That's nice. John Deere, great industrial company. I think that's the support level. And up it goes. Add another position on the PSAR break and the Bollinger Band mean break. Great shape for John Deere. Dow also looking very good. I think I'd buy it right there with a stop right here. And then pick up the stop on that line right there. Devon Energy. That looks good too. Should stay north of that line. And if you want the aggressive position, should stay above that line. That's an A trade, a B trade, a C trade. Emerging markets. Going to test the top of the dragon here, breaking out to the upside. Otherwise, the next target is this break of the dragon and the break of the RL10 outside Z3. Japan, dead money. Just leave it alone. Mexico, on the other hand, in great shape, making a nice little recovery, and a COTA 2 right by the numbers. Brazil, even better. Already breaking out above the previous Z3 pinch. Held support of the edge of the dragon. Up it goes. Notice how good this doggone breakout box was back here for the daily, and then the swing. So good. And then when on the break above the dragon, so good. Now it's getting ready to keep going again. Where would my stop be? Right there, edge of the dragon. It's got to stay north of that. Don't let it cross below that line. The Russell getting ready to resume its leadership role. Conservative stop line. Aggressive stop line. Initial risk here. Oops, wrong thing. Initial stop line right there. Lithium. The Kata 2 is in great shape, and this extension is getting ready to work some more. Raise your stop to here. Moonshots. This Kata 2 kind of stalled. I think you could restart it now. Put a stop right here below the that combination of holes right there. Microsoft. Yeah. I think your stop should be right there. Stay above that line. If we just drew that as a regression line, it would look something like this, right? This feels like an A trade, B, C, D. Marijuana. Still in this long, slithering breakout box here. Still waiting to break out. Fangs doing very well. Breakout has occurred. Notice the power of the SSC and the 1, 2, 3 entry, the SSC, and now the emerging dragon and going. Money. Clean energy. Recovery is underway. Here was the breakout from this box. Here's the supported spring crossing. If this breaks out above the Bollinger Band mean, it's like a Kata 2. Great shape. PayPal. Love it. There's the breakout. Qs. The recovery of tech is evident everywhere. Simon Property Group. Getting ready to resume on this infrastructure bill. And all the money that's being printed is being given to the ownership class to buy real estate out from underneath retail families. And this includes commercial real estate for small commercial properties. So that's going to do nothing but go up. Squarespace, financial disruptor in pretty good shape. I think there's easier ones to play that, though. Let's compare it to PayPal. Yeah, see, PayPal to me is already better than Square. Treasuries. The little Kata 2 breakout is still working. It was working really well. This is the pause that refreshes. If it can hold above the PSAR, then this has real legs. Tesla recovered nicely. Nice breakout. Is it back? Maybe. It's got to get through this resistance level above 750. Until that point, it's just a tactical trade, just like every other tech play. Twitter, rebounding nicely. These oversold conditions that come down, fall out of the river, and then test, that RL 270, 1, 2, 3, support a spring crossing the Bollinger Band mean, going to leave the river, and now it's an emerging dragon. Money. Oil, just as good as it can be. There's the Kata 2. VIX pointing the way towards the decline in volatility, pointing the way higher. Lumber, we've already seen. Wheat and precious metals lagging. This presages to me a recovery in crypto and in other commodities. U.S. steel in good shape. Materials just making the turn with support at the river. We already saw XBI, but that's in great shape too. I think Archienomics it's its time. Energy just feels fully valued to me. There can be some more room, but if there's no such thing as easy money, but if there was, it was the SSC and then the various Kata 2s, and that's starting to run out of steam. Now that it's back to fair value, I'd rather see you in tech and the disruptors. Finance making a nice recovery. Tech making a nice recovery. Great shape. It's already at all-time highs. XLP lagging now that tech is back in the leadership role. And XLY discretionary. When discretionary is better than staples, that is a growth market. And then finally XOP, oil exploration in great shape. That's, if you're going to play energy, play that one. Play it tactically. All right, guys. Thanks for your kind attention. This is an artifact we talked about this morning in our coaching call. We've been running a true story circle coaching sessions for traders that are interested in innovation. And these are guys that have been through the foundations course, through the hybrid trading course, and we're doing personalized coaching using protreptic coaching, which is the style of coaching that Socrates taught to Plato, Plato taught to Aristotle, that Aristotle used with Alexander the Great. And it's about a 2,500-year history of goodness. So one of the things that we notice is that true story circles generate an infinite abundance of opportunities in the form of potential energy, and that there's an abundance of ways forward. And how do they do that? That's really what the true story workshop is going to be. But the bottom line is that true story circles begin with the creation of a safe space in which trust, safety, trust, then allows truth to emerge, and then that leads to opportunities. Well, the question remains, what do we do with the righteous energy that is raised in a true story circle when we already have a common and unified goal, vision, and target? What is it that we want? What we want is innovation that lasts in the direction of justice. All right? That's what we want. Innovation that lasts. That's what you got to have. And the reason you want justice is to repair the problems that we have generated unmindfully along the way. or mindfully. Justice. On the subject of justice, these are still formative thoughts. The people who have been harmed get to tell you when they feel that justice has been served. But who gets to decide when justice has been served? So those with standing in court have a right to express. But there's a reason that justice is blind, and there's a reason that society has reserved the right to judge and not just listen to the agreed, because that could too easily become overly emotional and lack consistency and reliability, which are the rituals and the foundations and the groundwork on which society is possible. And so there's a reason why the Greek goddess of justice was blind. And so I'm going to leave it to you to continue that discussion. But if we can say what justice is and aim towards it, so how can we achieve justified innovation that lasts? We're raising the opportunities through the true story circles. But how do we realize that opportunity? How do we put it into motion? Well, here's the formula that I've come up with. Purpose times the quantity in the brackets. Now, everything in the brackets is activity. All right? Everything in the brackets is activity. Insert text box. So I'm going to come back to that. But the end point of this sandwich of activity, the end point is purpose and an artifact. And so the left-hand side of this equation, you got to solve that to see if you have created innovation that lasts. But if your purpose is absent, or if the value of your purpose is zero, then it doesn't matter what actions you're taking, and it doesn't matter what artifact you're creating. Without purpose, that whole left-hand side of that formula solves to zero. If you have a good purpose and you engage in activity, but you don't create an artifact that lasts, in other words, that if that artifact value is zero, then that whole formula solves to zero. So you have to start with the purpose and finish with an artifact in order to justify doing any of the activity. Activity that's undertaken without a purpose and which doesn't produce an artifact is worthless. It's not innovation that lasts. It might be innovative, but it won't last. So stand the test of time. So, again, notice that in that formula, if purpose or artifact are set to zero or absent, then the whole equation solves to zero. So you must start with a purpose and finish with an artifact that endures, or you're spinning wheels. And worse, you're wasting time, energy, will, and opportunity. Now, the opponent in this formula, what that purpose times activity times artifact, the opponent in that tug of war, in that battle, is the combination of inertia, culture, and the status quo, also known as fat, dumb, and happy. All right. Inertia Bodies at motion tend to stay in motion. Bodies at rest tend to stay at rest. So you have to overcome the lack of activity. And anybody want to argue with me that the culture is dumb? And then the status quo makes people happy. Otherwise, they wouldn't accept it. So enough people are happy enough with the status quo that they'll fight to keep it, even if there's better ways that could be. It's what they've been able to preserve. They don't want to give up that little piece and let go of that in order to reach for more, because they've been burned so many times, and that they're satisfied maybe with what they can settle for. So fat, dumb, and happy is the opponent to innovation that lasts. And fat, dumb, and happy is my definition of traditional leadership. And the best line I ever had was with a general officer when I said, "Sir, leadership is by definition fat, dumb, and happy. Change my mind." And I said, "Has anyone ever gotten more benefit of the doubt than leaders? They get so much benefit of the doubt that there's very little left to spread around to others. When have the poor and the minorities ever had the benefit of the doubt? No, we're pretty quick about bringing down the hammer of the law. But leaders, for some reason, get a pass. We give them the benefit of, give them some time. Who else gets that kind of benefit of the doubt? So, my challenge to leaders, decide which side of the equation you're going to weigh in on. And whichever side you join, it's going to be decisive. If you stand aside and watch innovation take on fat, dumb, and happy, then I know what side you're on. Unless you are actively involved on the side of the angels, you're on the other side. Now, let's take a look at the activity then. So if you have a purpose, and if you have an artifact that you're going to create as a result of your activity, now we can break open activity a little bit and say, all right, what's the foundation for the action? What are we anchored in? Where is our energy coming from, and how do we use it? How do we raise the energy for action tactically? What tool are we going to use that gives us leverage and scale? How do we scale that activity to affect more and more people rapidly? How do we build, maintain, preserve, and apply momentum like a flywheel? And then what can we learn about what we're doing in order to do better? So all of those things solve to activity. And purpose times activity times the artifact you create gives you the possibility for innovation that lasts. And that's the opponent. But I want you to notice that if you are sensible, you can actually have as your purpose activity to create artifacts that will maintain the flywheel, overcome inertia, that will seek to make positive changes in the culture so that it's not so dumb, and that you will use the power of the status quo to inspire people to do more by showing, look how far we've come and look how far there is to go. And as long as we have purpose, activity, and artifacts, we can make positive changes in culture. We can actually push the culture over the tipping point so that inertia starts working in our favor. Get it over the hump so that momentum can start running downhill and take advantage of the flywheel effect. So I had a 2-hour meeting with R.J. Hickson this morning, and we're going to put together a course on this that builds this out, that combines true storytelling, protreptic coaching, that helps us get better in pursuit of the good, the just, the true, and the beautiful in order to live free lives, leveraging 2,500 years of classic Greek thought, and use that to upgrade our innovation formulas to create innovation that lasts in ourselves, in our trading, in our relationships, in our groups. Learn to be the kind of leader who weighs in on the side of the angels of purpose, activity, and artifacts to create innovation that lasts, that changes culture, raises the bar on the status quo, and overcomes complacency and inertia. So we're going to put together a productivity course on that and create the learning ecosystem and environment that you're already familiar with in small groups of 4 and 5 to build out at the atomic level, at the molecular level, this kind of positive change. So look for an announcement on that pretty soon. And first come, first serve. And we're going to run a pilot program on it first at a great discount. So keep your eyes open for that. Thanks for your kind attention.